Hello, excellent artists. Today I'm going to show you how to make a fruit still life. A still life picture is a picture where the objects and things don't move, at least not on their own. If you look at this picture of one right over my head here, this is a still life by Paul Cézanne. He is a famous artist. He is no longer alive. He was from France, but he was famous for his still life paintings. It was not the only thing he did, but that's what we're looking at today. So what I want you to do is grab a piece of paper, a pencil, and maybe something round that you can trace, and let's get started. Okay, so I've got my paper horizontal. The things that you're going to need is a piece of paper, a pencil. If you have something that's round that you can trace around, that would be great. If you don't, it'll still work. I also am going to be using these four colors, red, yellow, orange, and green. And if you look on the color wheel, you will notice that those colors are all right next to each other on the color wheel. Those are adjacent colors, and we're going to use those to create our apple still life here. You will be able to use other colors as well. It's just for the apples you want to make sure you have those colors. Okay, so what you're going to do first, we're going to start by drawing the bowl of our apple still life. So we have something to put the apples in. We're going to draw a horizontal line right in the middle of our paper. It does not need to go all the way across, but it needs to be pretty good. So I'm going to leave about a hand space, and then I'm going to start my horizontal line and leave about a hand space over here. So sometimes people like to make a little mark and a little mark and then just draw between them. All right, on the bottom, I'm going to draw one big curve. Practice that at least 2 or 3 times before you draw yours. When you practice before you draw, it's like you're training your brain how you want it to be. All right, on the bottom of the bowl, we're going to add a little line here and a little line here. This is the part of the bowl that sits on the table. It's called the foot. Just like you stand, this is what the bowl is standing on. All right, on the top here, I'm going to be adding some apples. And if you're lucky enough to have something that's round that you can trace around, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. What you want to do is make sure half of that circle is above and half of it's below. You don't want it to go outside or up here. We're trying to make the apples look like they fit inside. Hold that still and just trace the part that is on top. Now, if you don't have something round, I'll show you what you can do. You can make a curve right in here. Now, they don't even have to be the same size. Ooh, that one almost didn't fit in there. All right, I'm going to add another one. Now, you'll notice that you can't see the whole circle for the apples, and that is because the other part of the apple is down in the bowl. The bowl is overlapping the apple. It just means that you can't see all of the apple because the bowl is in front. All right, I'm going to put some more apples in here, and I'm going to draw a curve. Nice big apples here. This apple right here is being overlapped by these 2 apples. I'm going to try to make at least 4 to 6 apples. And remember, as they go up, you don't have to show the whole thing. You only have to draw the big curve and go slow so that you can do a nice job. I think that looks pretty good. And now to kind of add a little bit more details. If you look at an apple, I've got one right here. Haven't eaten it for lunch yet. If you look at this apple, you'll see it kind of dips down in here where the stem is going. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a little curved line, and then I'm going to add my stem right in here. And it's okay if it goes longer than the other. I made that line just a little bit thicker. Sometimes you can have that tilted, and it could even be a little curved if you want. So this is the little dip where it goes down and inside here, and then this is the stem. So you're going to do that on all of your apples, making a little dip, and then the stem. Go slow and take your time. I think this one's going to go right here. Make sure each apple has a stem. Great. Now we're going to give our apples, our bowl of apples, someplace to sit. So we're going to make a table that goes all the way across. Now you don't want to go through your bowl because the bowl is in front of the table. So we have to jump over, clear over to the other side, and then finish drawing. Now, if you would like to put some designs on here later, you can. Maybe some diagonal lines would be really nice. On my bowl. On the table, maybe this is sitting on a tablecloth and there's some pattern on there. You can do some designs on the wall. I kind of like the wall just plain, so I might leave it that way. And then we're going to show you how to color. So I will start with red because my apple over here is red, but if you want to start with one of the other colors, you can. Watch how we're going to do this. The rule is you can use 2 colors on each apple, but they have to be colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel. So, for example, I might want to make this apple red, and I'm going to just do the bottom half of this apple, and it's kind of curved here. My apple curves this way. Since it curves that way, I'm going to try to color curved. I'm doing a nice job of coloring. I don't want to get messy. Kind of using those curved lines to make my apple feel more curved. I'm taking my time. On the top up here, I'm going to use the color that is next to. So I think we don't have purple apples, so that's why I'm going to go up this way. I'm just going to use a little bit orange. And finish curving out this. Now, I know apples aren't really orange, but sometimes when the light hits it, it can make a reddish orange. If it looks too orange, you can always go over the top of that a little bit to make a little more red. So you get more of a red orange. And that's just giving us our light source, the light shining down from the top and making the top of the apple a little bit more light. So because orange is a little bit lighter than red. I'm going to do the same thing. Maybe I'll have 2 apples that are... Now this apple curves this way. So I'm going to curve my apple. Go slow so I can get those curves. Try to stay in the lines. It's always nice to outline first. And overlap those colors so they blend a little bit together. That looks really nice. And if you've missed any spots, just go and fill those in. All right, I'm going to do the same thing, but I think I want to switch colors. Maybe this time I'll start with the orange over here. I'm going to outline this part right here. And you might notice that I've moved my paper a little bit as I'm coloring. Do that so that if you need to make your colors, to make it easier when you're coloring. And because orange, I could go back up to red, but I actually want to go lighter. So next orange is yellow. So I'm going to take the yellow. There are many yellow apples out there. I'm going to overlap my yellow. This could actually be, if we wanted to pretend it was an orange, you could. All right, I think this time I'm going to start with a yellow apple up here. So next to yellow on the color wheel, if I'm going the same direction, is green. Now sometimes in your crayon box, you might notice that you have, I'm following the curve here as I color. Make sure I get the edges. Follow Follow that curve so it stays nice and round. All right, and I'm going to do a little bit of green on the top of this one. I've seen very many. I actually, in my backyard, have apple trees. I'm going to blend a little bit of that green over the top of my yellow. Ooh, I like that. Now, your apples don't have to look exactly like mine. Okay, I'm going to do a green apple this time. I got one apple left. I'm going to outline here and here. Outline this, and I'm going to follow this curve. Wait, I'm going to do a little line here too so I don't get into the... Follow my curve. Keep that round apple. Keep it from looking so flat. Now this time I have a choice. I could go over to yellow again. Wait, we don't have blue. We don't have blue apples, but I could go back over to red. I think I'll do yellow though on top, just so it's just a little different. So you can use colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel, and you'll have a beautiful looking picture when you're not. I'm going to color over my green a little bit and let those colors blend and mix. You can take your crayons. Now I use green, yellow, red, and orange to color my apples. So I want to use other colors in my paper when I'm coloring the rest. So maybe blue would be a great choice for my bowl. Now the nice thing about the bowl, if you want to, you can just leave it plain, but I might actually add a little design on my bowl. Maybe some zigzag going across here. And then I can color the rest of this. Outline first the area where you're coloring and then neatly fill it in. Remember, try not to leave empty places when you're coloring. Try to fill the whole thing up. I think I will do this blue color underneath too. So outline. And then fill in. Going to use.
The harder you push on your crayons, the brighter the colors will show.
All right, so the last thing to do now that I've got this done, or most of it's pretty much colored, sometimes I like to go back just to kind of re-outline certain things that I really, if I see the pencil line, I like to cover those up. For the stems, I like them to stand out really nicely. I like to go around my apples. Now, you can go over all your pencil lines. I would for sure do over all of your apples. And I would also go around your bowl with a black. Now, if you prefer to do that with a marker, that should work too. You could even do the marker before you color with the crayon. It might work better. I think I'll do this zigzag that goes through here. The harder you press with your crayons, the brighter it will be. All right, so I am finished with my apple still life. One thing I think I will do just to add a little bit more, because these look like they have a little bit of shadow on them. You can even add a little bit with your crayon if you want to add a shadow at the bottom of your apples. Don't cover up all of your color. You don't have to do that, but it might make it feel like they're overlapping even more. You can also add a shadow underneath your picture, under the bowl. Just add a little bit. You don't want to cover up all of your beautiful coloring that you did with the tablecloth, but just add a little light value. Value is just the darkness and lightness of a color, so if I add just a little bit, it looks like it's actually sitting on the table instead of just floating there. All right, so remember, in a still life that things do not move. You could really do a still life with all sorts of things. You could do it with your toys at home. You could do it with other types of food. You could do it with school supplies. But I want you to try apples today. Remember to show overlapping, to have the table. And also, when you're coloring apples, if you're using more than one color on an apple, to try to use colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. And remember, no purple or blue apples, just stick with the ones over on this side. So your reds, your oranges, your yellows, and your greens. And if they're next to each other on the color wheel, you can use only 2 colors on each apple. All right, I hope you have a fun time trying this out, and I'll see you next time. Stay creative.